beer today is something very special because it's a Finnish beer. The beer being Finnish is not something to be too proud of because most Finnish beers are just complete garbage and undrinkable reindeer piss. But I'll try with this one here. It's called Hillatus, sour ale from Lapland. Uh, it's basically cloudberry sour ale beer. It has Finnish cloudberry puree in it. That can't be. That won't promise anything too good, would it? And it's basically Hilla is cloudberry in Finnish. One Hilla is one word for among many for cloudberry, and Hillatus surprise, and Hilla it's basically cloudberry surprise if you translate it literally, and it's gluten free and vegan and zero CO2 emission, which is, I think, supposed to be somehow a good, which is a good thing, I suppose, that there is no CO2 emission. Serving temperature 4 to 8, between +4 and +8 degrees Celsius. Now, the beer today is something very special because it's a Finnish beer. The beer being Finnish is not something to be too proud of because most Finnish beers are just complete garbage and undrinkable reindeer piss. But I'll try with this one here. It's called Hillatus, sour ale from Lapland. Uh, it's basically cloudberry sour ale beer. It has Finnish cloudberry puree in it. That can't be. That won't promise anything too good, would it? And it's basically Hilla is cloudberry in Finnish. One Hilla is one word for among many uh, for um, for cloudberry, and Hillatus surprise, and Hilla it's basically cloudberry surprise if you translate it literally, and it's gluten free and vegan and zero CO2 emission, which is, I think, supposed to be somehow a good, which is a good thing, I suppose, that there is no CO2 emission. Serving temperature 4 to 8, between +4 and +8 degrees Celsius. Now, a sour beer is a type of beer that has intentionally been made acidic, tart or sour taste. And these types of beers and styles uh, yeah, include, but are not uh, limited to Belgian lambics and Flanders red ale and German Goes and Berliner Weisse. Also, ales, as this beer here, include sour variants. And this category or subcategory within ales is called sour ale, which includes a variety of different sour ale type beers. Some, like this, are flavored and some are not. And this is flavored with cloudberry puree, Finnish cloudberry. Uh, I'm excited to see what it might include because it I don't really like sour tastes in general. I'm more of a sweet and salty kind of girl, but we'll see. We'll see. This might be a sweet on the sweeter side of sours, but we'll see. We'll see. So, modern sour, the brewing of sour ale and sour beers in general, unlike with the difference to modern type of brewing, there's an old type of beer, sour beer and sour ale. Uh, s- Modern brewing is typically done in a sanitary environment to guard against intrusion of wild yeast, bacteria, viruses, and so forth. Um, which, which, by the way, wild yeast is or has been in historical sense the starter used for a batch of another usually contained some wild yeast and bacteria. And sour beers and sour ales alike are made by intentionally allowing wild strains of wild yeast and or bacteria into the brew, and traditionally through barrels or during cooling of the wort in a cool open outside air, and that is one way of producing lambic, which is produced in Brussels and the surrounding area in the valley around Brussels, Belgium. So most commonly, the microbes, I'm not sure which microbes are used in this particular brew, but the most common microbes used to intentionally sour beer are bacteria Lactobacillus and Pediococcus, which, while the fungus Brettanomyces can also be added for some acidity in a beer. There is another method for achieving a uh, tart flavor, and that is by adding fruit like cherry or cloudberry in this case. Cherry often for lambics, which gives you the Creek beers that I think I've had one on my channel here. Uh, so these fruits directly contribute to natural organic acids. For example, citric acid. Well, citric acid uh, in itself may be added, but separately in these beers. But that is, to my understanding, quite a bit more rare. So, in addition to all that, acid can be added, like as I said, citric acid, but also other types, or uh, using an unusually large amount of acidulated malts, which I don't think is the case here, but it might be the case with some goods or probably not lambic, but some other types of uh, sour beers. And depending on the process used in the brewing process of a sour beer or sour ale or lambic or goods, there is an uncertainty uh, i- with regards to using wild yeast, and that may take the beer months or even years to ferment and mature. And that is the case especially with the German Goes uh, type beers. And the modern methods, uh, however, allow sour beer to be created within typical time frame for ales, like this beer. I haven't tasted it yet, by the way. It's open, but I haven't tried it yet. I tried to make these recordings in order, so it can usually be, when it comes to ales, it can be uh, just just several days in to create sour ales. So let's go for tasting. Tastes quite sour, but the taste from the can is not it. The sourness or the bitterness doesn't differ much from some lagers that on the some lagers on the sour side of things, and it's quite not as well, somewhat cloudy, not as cloudy as the beer I had last week, last time, but the Shime Green Label 150 in the last episode. Now it's now the smell is quite sour when I smell it from the glass. Oi, yikes! Really yikes! It's really sour. Well, not as sour as as I would have expected, because I've tried Gueuze, for example, but Belgian, Belgian unflavored lambic, which can be, or outer lambic, old lambic, which can be quite sourish, and German Gueuze, it really, those are a lot more sour, but this has a slight taste of this has clearly a flavor of the cloudberry puree. Um, it's really sour. Really not my type of beer. Oh, but it's better than than Finnish lagers. So I give this a good 4.5. I give this 4.5. It's not it's not by far my favorite, but uh, it's better, far better than I would have ever expected from a sour beer or a sour ale. But that's it for the tasting. Hmm. Oh, and by the way, it's a 5.5% alcohol by volume, so it's middle strength, I think. So thank you very much for joining me in for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Keep your eye out for future contents like this one on Hades Beer Corner. Check the links in the description box down below. Leave me a like, subscribe, and tickle the notification bell for notifications on future content. And also, there are links to my Patreon and PayPal. See you next time.